Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, Kern County back on the state's watch list. We'll break down what that means for local businesses, from barbershops to gyms and churches. All of that coming up.
Negotiations begin on Capitol Hill for the next coronavirus spending bill. We'll tell you what the president is demanding be included, as well as what he wants left out.
And a big decision is made about this year's Kern County Fair. The show will not go on. The message officials have about the future of this beloved annual event. Today is Tuesday, July 21st, 2020. Good morning, Kern County, and thanks for starting your day with us here on 17 News at Sunrise. I'm Alex Fisher along with Maddie Jansen. And yeah, it was not surprising to hear the fair was canceled last night. It was not surprising by any means, but still a lot of people disappointed by the decision. But of course, this all comes as we continue to see an increase in cases of coronavirus across Kern.
Yeah, the last few days we've seen it surge up every single day. So we'll get to those numbers as well as that decision on the fair coming up in just a moment. But we want to talk about your forecast first and check that out with Kevin.
Well, yesterday we thought we would keep it at 99, but look behind me, it didn't happen. We hit 100 degrees, and today we're going to be fairly close to that once again. We've got clear skies outside right now, as you can see, from downtown Bakersfield looking off to the east. A nice comfortable temperature to start off the morning as well. 72 degrees and a northwest wind at 5 miles per hour as we take a look at our dog walk forecast for today, starting out in the upper 70s, so get that walk in early, and then as we go throughout the day, we will warm things back up into the upper 90s and lower 100s. As we take a look at Tehachapi, 63, there was a wind advisory there last night. That is canceled out, just a light wind out of the west at 5 right now, and you can see on our wind map right now, nothing really happening around Kern County. Things have really relaxed. Here's a look at the hour by hour, and by 7 a.m., 67. We'll progress into the upper 80s this afternoon. By 3 o'clock, right near 88. I'll have more in your forecast coming up in just a little bit. For now, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. Today, Kern County is officially back on the state's monitoring list. This comes after a tidal wave of new cases over the weekend. 17's Taylor Shaw joins us live this morning with a look at what that means for many local businesses. Taylor.
Well, good morning, Maddie. After that overwhelming spike of new reported cases over the weekend, more restrictions are coming later this week. Kern County is now officially back on the state's monitoring list. That means starting today, certain businesses will need to prepare for new restrictions. Spokesperson Michelle Corson says for the last 3 days, Kern failed the state's metrics on managing the rate of new cases. Because of this, businesses including gyms, shopping malls, places of worship, salons will now have to move their activities outside or they'll have to close. And this time, well, there's no end date.
The governor has stated that once we hit this point, he will have to be the one to let us know when these businesses can begin to operate in a more full or with different modifications.
Here is the full list of businesses affected. The state says all but tattoo and piercing establishments can stay open if they operate outdoors. Mary Ryan Maida, Chief Operating Officer at Awesome Fitness, says, well, she's been preparing for this moment for more than a week, fearing that this would happen. She believes that the latest round of closures will have a devastating impact on their industry.
The strong will come out on top, and the ones that aren't, unfortunately, are probably not going to end up being able to reopen, and those businesses are definitely in our thoughts and prayers, and we hope that everyone, is able to get through this.
And Maddie and Alex, it's important to remember that these businesses, if they close, they'll be shut down indefinitely, not just for the next 2 weeks. In Southwest Bakersfield, Taylor Shaw, 17 News.
Thank you, Taylor. And that brings us to our 17 interactive feedback poll. We want to know this morning, do you think these new restrictions will help slow the spread of COVID-19 in Kern? Call or text us at 888-4617. Press 1 for yes and 2 for no. You can also text, tweet, email, or Facebook your comments. Once again, that interactive feedback phone line is 888-4617. You can call or text there. And we'll air some of those comments and have results from the poll coming up later this morning on Sunrise.
Now to a look at the latest coronavirus numbers across Kern County that continues to swell. Although health officials reported an overwhelming number of new cases in the last couple of days, this surge does not reflect what's happening with the disease in just 1 week. Kern Public Health reported nearly 800 positive test results yesterday. Nearly half of the people who have tested positive for coronavirus in Kern since March are currently infected. Nearly 4,200 people are recovering at home. Another 180 people are in the hospital. No new deaths were reported. 105 people have died from the disease in Kern County since March. The state health department says there are 62 people being treated in the area or in area intensive care units. That's 2 fewer patients from the day before, and a metric the state watches closely. The state says there are 78 ICU and NICU beds still available.
The 2020 Kern County Fair has been canceled. The Fair Board made the vote official last night at its monthly meeting. 17's Aton Wallace watched the meeting and he has reaction.
Yeah, members of the Fair Board had hoped this would not be the final outcome, but given the recent spike in coronavirus cases, they felt they had no choice. It's one of Kern County's annual signature family-friendly events, but the 2020 Kern County Fair, set to take place from September 23rd through October 4th, has been canceled. This after a unanimous vote by the board Monday afternoon.
I don't see any way that we can go forward with fair under these conditions.
Conditions which include a recent spike in coronavirus cases across the county and the state. Fair officials held several emergency meetings over the last few months, hoping to avoid canceling altogether. But board members Monday afternoon stressed, given the circumstances, this was the only way forward.
I don't believe that we have any other option at this point in time.
For us to finally make the decision is harder than a lot of us ever thought it would be.
In addition to the cancellation, Fair CEO Mike Alcott said cuts to the state budget will result in a 9.3% pay cut for all Kern County Fair permanent staff members. But there was a positive from the meeting. Board members made clear their intent to keep the livestock auction and show, albeit virtual. And moving forward,
we will come back bigger, better, and stronger. Let's just continue to be safe and strong.
So you may be wondering, why couldn't the board table this discussion to a later date closer to the fair? Well, board members stressed this decision needed to be made now so they could reach out to vendors and plan accordingly. In Bakersfield, Aton Wallace, 17 News.
Now to education news, and Kern County is on the state's monitoring list, and local school districts are struggling to decipher what this means going forward. Governor Gavin Newsom announced on Friday counties can start in-person education only if they manage to stay off the state's watch list for 14 days in a row. All counties that do not meet that criteria, that includes Kern, are directed to start the fall with distance learning. The Bakersfield City School District and the Kern High School District have approved distance learning plans for the start of the school year. This week, other school districts are expected to follow suit with distance learning. Today, the Norris School District, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and the Arvin Union School District all have meetings to discuss their plans for the fall semester. It is 5:08 now, and another big decision yesterday. California's high school sports calendar will undergo some drastic adjustments this school year. Essentially, there will not be any sports played until the beginning of next year. 17's Robert Price has more.
Among American traditions, few are more anticipated than high school football. The slap of shoulder pad against shoulder pad, the crisp autumn air. It's going to be different this year, though. The California Interscholastic Federation, that's the state's governing body for high school sports, announced Monday morning that, as expected, there will be no high school sports for the rest of the 2020 calendar year. All 3 seasons, fall, winter, and spring, will be crammed into 2, with winter and spring essentially combined, and the games won't start until January, although CIF sections, those are the regional divisions within the state, may authorize practices to start in December. The opening high school football games of the year, for example, will likely be played January 7th. Garces High School senior Zach Bucky said it's far better than the alternative.
High school football is like a timeless kind of classic. I mean, I knew there'd be a season. Like, I knew we were going to play high school football. I mean, when I never really was confident in. I'm still not super confident because, anything can happen between now and January. But I'm just glad that they were able to kind of get together and get a date going.
The revised calendar has sports like baseball and softball going practically until July. June 26th to be specific, when the state playoffs must be complete. And of course, it's all subject to change if the pandemic worsens in late fall. Stan Green, who in essence is the athletic director for the entire Kern High School district, sounds an optimistic note.
It's going to be really strange to have this happen. That being said, we're going through a situation where it might not have happened, right? We could have had a complete cancellation. And the fact is, we can still have that. I think it just provides us some hope that, there's hope on the horizon that our kids are going to get an opportunity to play.
Kids who may have feared they'd lose their entire senior seasons because of this pandemic can focus now on staying healthy and getting ready for a season that may look different, but if all goes well, will still take place. High school athletes still don't have any assurances, but what they do have, as Stan Green said, is hope. In Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
Welcome back. Your time now is 5:20. Over the last few days, there have been several homicides in Kern County. According to our homicide tracker, there have been 68 in Kern so far this year. That number includes suspected murders at local prisons and deadly shootings by law enforcement officers. We continue to see far more killings than we did last year. As of Monday, there have been 68 reported homicides, with 9 reported just this month. But by July 21st in 2019, there had been 55. So there have been at least 13 more deaths than the same time last year. Now to new information on the Bakersfield 3. Jane Parent, the mother of missing Bailey Despot, is now offering a $1,000 reward for information on her daughter's location. Parent announced the reward in a video posted on social media Monday. The money comes out of Parent's own pocket and is separate from the $16,000 reward that Kern County Secret Witness is offering for information leading to the resolution of Despot's disappearance.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything I have to do to find her and, go to places around town I know where she was at one time. So maybe it'll jog somebody's memory.
Despot is one of the Bakersfield 3, a trio of people who went missing or were killed within weeks of each other in 2018. In May, Despot and her former boyfriend Matthew Queen were charged with the murder of Micah Holsenbake, another member of the Bakersfield 3, whose arm was recovered in the Kern River. Queen is due back in court in September, facing murder charges. 2 men are behind bars accused of having guns and being part of a street gang. According to BPD, Friday evening, an officer conducted a traffic stop on Texas Street near Brundage Lane. Officers found 2 loaded guns. BPD says 2 people in the vehicle, 23-year-old Eugene Robbie and 22-year-old Trayshawn Hollins, are documented gang members and convicted felons and not allowed to carry guns. Robbie and Hollins are charged with gun possession and gang participation. 17 Court Watch now. The man accused of trying to burglarize a home, caught on a now viral video, is due in court today. You may remember this video. A young girl chases away a would-be burglar from her home. The Penley family told us the man, identified by the Kern County Sheriff's Office as Michael King, tried to steal from their garage in Northwest Bakersfield, but he didn't see 10-year-old Lola in the SUV. She jumped out and scared him off. Today, King is due in court for a pre-preliminary hearing.
Your time now is 5:33, and fixing America's economy and dealing with coronavirus. The Trump administration and Democrats sit down for the first time to find a compromise on how much money to spend and what to fix first. Tracy Potts is in Washington with more.
Hammering out a deal to stop coronavirus, fix the economy, and help Americans who haven't had a paycheck in months.
We're going to make sure that We don't pay people more money to stay home than go to work.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin opens talks with Democrats today on Republicans' trillion-dollar stimulus, including extending extra unemployment, which runs out next week. President Trump wants to fatten workers' wallets by cutting payroll taxes.
It doesn't make any sense when so many people don't have a payroll right now, first of all.
The president may cut funds to the CDC for testing and tracing the virus. Republicans are focused on stopping lawsuits and paying states to reopen schools
in ways that are as smart, safe, and data-driven as possible.
Today, President Trump resumes daily coronavirus briefings.
I think it's a great way to get information out to the public.
He's trailing Joe Biden by double digits.
He has no idea what to do. He's zero. It's only one thing he has in mind. How does he win re-election?
His own political crisis in the middle of a national catastrophe. President Trump shifting strategy on those daily briefings as polls show most Americans aren't satisfied with how he's dealing with this crisis. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.